Welcome to Reboot with Dr. Arasi Maran. I'm your host, Arasi Maran. Today, I have a truly special guest. He is one of the most respected names in India in strength and training, Mr. Basu Shankar. From transforming the fitness standards of the Indian cricket team to working with elite athletes like Virat Kohli or Deepika Padikkal, Mr. Basu has been a pioneering force in the performance coaching for over 3 decades. But what makes today's conversation particularly special is that we're not talking about elite sports. We are talking about something that matters to each and every one of you listening: your health, your fitness, your journey to become stronger, both physically and mentally. Whether you're thinking about starting your fitness journey, rebooting yourself, or you're struggling with stay consistent, this episode is packed with insights that could change your perspective on fitness forever. So let's dive into this conversation with a man who's helped transform thousands of lives through the power of strength and conditioning. With that, welcome to the show, Mr. Basu. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's a heady introduction. I hope I stay on par with your intro. I mean, it's my pleasure
Oh
to
no,
be
you
here, and I will definitely share whatever I've done over the last 30 years and share my experience. And it's going to be a very interesting next 30 to 40 minutes. I'm all set. I have
absolutely.
fastened my seat and belts.
All
Let
right.
me go.
All right. So, let's start with your journey, right? You were a sprinter. That's how you started your career. And now you are the biggest name when it comes to strength and conditioning coaching. I'm sure the success line was not a straight line. There must have been ups and downs. Can you share your journey, your struggles?
I wouldn't say struggles. I think that was a way of life. My mother was a sprinter, so it came naturally to me. I mean, from my schooling days, I used to sprint and win all the school meets. Then it became my obsession. Sprinting became my obsession, and I wanted to represent the country in Asian Games or Olympics or whatever. That was my obsession as a
Mm.
as any other young athlete. And as time went by, I continued being an athlete. And to cut a long story short, I will put myself as a failed athlete, even though I did represent the country in the junior levels and I did take part as a professional for many years. But in the tennis world, they say a journeyman, right? Like that, I'm a journeyman athlete. I was, I was
Okay.
always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So, but what helped me is I wanted to become a coach, and I wanted to know why we failed and what could I have done better. And there was too many questions in my mind, and that quest led me into coaching, and then subsequently it unfolded in so many ways into exercise science, strength and conditioning, performance coaching, and it was a huge road ahead of me, and I was so thrilled to get into that road and explore. And I didn't even think that this is going to be my profession. This was just my interest, hobby, and later on probably my obsession. Obsession had been always been there as a sprinter. Then it sort of converged with my innermost soul connect, and then I became a trainer. I mean, I started reading a lot about exercise science, and one led to another. Then I started doing courses. Again, oh, that led to so many other courses. Then my visits to the US, UK, Europe, Australia, wherever there was a new course, I was there, always present, and trying to be a student and trying to understand the nuances of the science part of it. And over a period of time, I understood that this is a very, very, very interesting field, and you cannot paint everyone with the same brush. Everyone is very
Absolutely.
unique. Like how we all look very differently from the outside, we all function very differently from the inside. And you need to have a blend of people skill, a good knowledge base on exercise science, your own experience, your anecdotal experience, and a sound knowledge on lifestyle, nutrition, supplements, and whatnot. I don't think you can leave out anything. And I understood that if you write an exam in school, they give you options. You can choose the questions. I think here you can't choose the questions. You need to answer everything. And it's a very linear passage. And I think that is where the thrill is for me, was at least, and still it is, and I think it will go on till the end of times. And this is something which intrigues me, and I get up every morning. Okay, something new I can learn, something new I can experience. You can see thousands of clients, and the thousand first client will teach you something. and the learning never stops. And I can only say that as a trainer, I mean, I write programs, and years go by, only the number of mistakes I do will start minimizing. Nobody in the world can say that they've got the absolute perfect program.
Perfect.
And I think that is a sort of a roller coaster ride for me. And I love being in this roller coaster ride.
Mr. Basu, you honestly have, laid out the life of any person who has a zest for learning. The same things what you said can be changed to my career as an interventional cardiologist with every patient. The same thing can be said to a businessman, to an author. Like, as long as you never stop learning and you always have this phenomenal interest. Oh, what am I going to do something new? What am I going to learn something? I think that's the secret behind every person who can call themselves a success, I guess. So, what a fabulous introduction. What a fabulous way to start this show. So, you have trained like big names. Like, my husband and my son are big cricket fans. Funnily enough, I'm not a cricket fan at all. I literally come to support my family, and because it's a family thing, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll come, kind of. So before people start throwing shoes at me because I'm not a cricket fan, tell me, how was the experience of working with someone like Virat Kohli? He's like the nation's sweetheart.
I have to answer this question everywhere I go. Okay. I mean,
Yes, it's mandatory.
first of all, I think he's a once in a century type of an athlete. I mean, if Virat Kohli had taken track and field, he would have succeeded there. If he had taken wrestling, he would have succeeded there. If he had taken hockey, he would have succeeded there. I always mention this line as a coach. I mean, as a good coach, actually not teaching the sport, you're actually teaching the person. Like that, Virat, if he had taken any sport, he would have succeeded. I think
Mm,
the greatest quality he had, or he has, or he will have it till he finishes, is his attitude. His attitude is unbelievable. I'll put him in the same likes of LeBron James, Virat Kohli, Novak Djokovic, Cristiano Ronaldo, Usain Bolt. I'll put him in the same league. These guys are made differently. They are wired differently. For them, just beating a world record or doing it year in year out is not enough. They are looking for that elusive perfection or elusive, I don't know what they want really sort of unwind from their end. I really don't understand, but they are a treat to watch. But there is a way to handle these people. They are perfectionist. So they will ask you a
mm-hmm.
zillion questions before they enter the journey. But once they are convinced, they are the best students in the world, and it will be a treat to coach such people. And I think I was blessed that way. I mean, I found the right student who was again asking me a lot of questions initially, but then he literally transformed the sport. I mean, if you look at Indian cricket or world cricket for that matter, Virat Kohli came into the scene and he changed the way the game is played. He made it look like how the tennis players or the athletes or the basketball players or the footballers, he brought in that extra professionalism into that sport, and that manifolded into his results. And he was
Fantastic.
not dominating cricket. He just dominating for so many years, and the journey goes on and on and on. And the way he trains, the way he eats, and the way he maintains his lifestyle is a piece of work. I have been in close quarters to see that. So people will say, "Ah, you got to be disciplined. You need to be dedicated." They're all small words for me. You need to be consistent, and you need to do it for years together. You need to have a different mindset, and this guy is unbelievable that way. That's why I say I put these five guys together: Novak Djokovic, Virat Kohli, Usain Bolt, LeBron James, and Cristiano Ronaldo. They've done it for n number of years, and they are once in a century kind of athletes. And
Hmm.
I was very fortunate to meet such people.
That's awesome. I mean, so with Virat Kohli, it's men. There's things work differently for men. You also coach Deepika Palika. She has dominated the Indian squash team, women's squash team, and that's not a very famous sport in India compared to cricket. Like, you look at the
Absolutely.
magnitude of space cricket occupies. How was it training her?
She's a female version of Virat Kohli. Only thing is, I started training her when she was 12 or 13. So more like family, and she will do anything in the world ask me to do. Me and that real obedient, I'll do anything for my coach kind of athlete, and she's got this unflinching attitude towards winning, and she'll do anything to improve herself, and she will go any distance to get that elusive extra step in the court, or she will follow everything to the T. And squash is not a very um, money spinning sport. It's not easy to be
Yes.
motivated all the time. And for her to
Hmm.
stay in that game for so long and be in the top 10 and win so many accolades, winning world championships, Commonwealth Games, Asian Games, and she's the first Indian woman to win an individual Asian Games medal also. And I've been training her all along, and again, it's a treat. I mean, a person like Deepika who actually put the squash map into the world scene.
Yes. That's fantastic. So, you work with such elite people, but you also work with people who are not into sports, who just want to get stronger and get better. That should be like a mindset shift, right? Working with someone who's so motivated, who will do anything to be on the top, to people, to motivating regular people to get them on the gym. How do you shift from one to another?
I think you need to flip the hat, and you need to act, you need to have that adjustment in your head. And I have seen a lot of trainers that they will train only elite athletes. I love actually training general clients. I love training geriatric population. I love people with women with the PCOD issues, or men who have osteoporosis or something like that. I mean, all kinds. I mean, I'd like to cater to all needs. Otherwise, what you become as a professional, you become a one-trick pony. I don't want to be that.
Mm,
I want to cater to everyone, and I think that is a thrill for me. Like I mentioned, I mean, in the beginning of the podcast, I told you, like college actually places folders. It can be exercise science, it can be a degree in medical science, or it can be chartered accountancy. It just places folder. But I think the real education starts after you finish college. If you really
absolutely.
start
Yes.
enjoying your life, if you really start enjoying your studies, if you really start enjoying reading a literature or a paper, a peer research review or something like that, I think that's when the real kick in starts. I think for me that started many years back, and I'm still intoxicated, and I think I will be intoxicated all along. And I love training people with problems. Sometimes my wife feels that you're a sadist. I mean, I literally, I'm excited when somebody poses with a problem and I give a solution. It sorts of, I'm in ecstasy. Okay, I got a solution for this problem. It is like a math teacher finding a solution for every problem. So it need not be only athletes. I mean, I met a 63-year-old lady who was in so much pain, low back pain, and she's been running from pillar to post for the last 10 years. Literally, she's become a cripple, and a little fix here and there, and a little bit of strategized prophylactic work, and she's back now. And now she wants to start playing table tennis with us. That is
Yes.
like,
Yes.
wow, that is like an Oscars for me. So every morning when I wake up, I mean, when I'm meeting a person, I don't think I have ever worked in my life. It is ecstasy for me.
Fantastic. So, despite, we talk about the benefits of exercising, strength training. Despite that, there are a lot of thought blocks. People are reluctant to start. They have all kinds of, attitude issues, not in a bad way, but fear issues, right? They are scared to go to the gym. When they go to the gym, they're intimidated by the seasoned gym people, and they don't want to feel like, oh, they don't know anything or anything. What can you tell them to encourage them to take the first step into a fitness journey?
I think you should find a gym buddy who's friendly, not intimidating. That's one for starters. And I noticed that a lot of general public, they go to a gym, they get injured, and then they're scared, and they want to avoid that road completely. So that's one sort of a bad experience for them. On the contrary, I am trying to tell them that why don't you consult a proper guy with a knowledge on exercise science, nutrition, and lifestyle. And with all due respect to the medical professions, they are not the ones. You're looking at a person
Oh,
who
we
has.
are definitely not the ones. No.
They are not the ones. And we need a person. I mean, ideally, if you can meet a qualified strength and conditioning coach, or a person who's mastered in exercise science or who has a fair knowledge on nutrition and lifestyle, they will be able to guide you the first few baby steps. And the first few baby steps are extremely critical in you taking that road. If the first few baby
Mm.
steps are all over the place and it turns awry, then I think you will never enter the road. So I think most of them do this mistake.
That's a fair point, right? Number one, they go to a doctor for nutrition advice, and in all realistic matters, we know what is good, but we can't sit out and write down a personalized plan. We can just tell you the big blocks of food you should take, and which you should reduce, and which you should manage, but we are not going to be able to. We're not qualified or trained to give a nutrition plan. We will say, oh, go do strength training or exercise for 30 minutes for 5 days a week. I'm not going to be able to tell you, oh, do this way. To I myself, I need a coach to do all of that stuff. So unless it's, you have to find the right person for the right job. And sometimes with the onlines, don't you think, with the COVID and the Zooms and the online training market has also exploded, right? Even if you finding a person one on one can be expensive, even an online. What do you think about the online programs available right now?
I think online training is here to stay. I mean, even though it's not
Hmm.
tangible, I think it is here to stay. But something is better than nothing. But if you can find I mean, whether online or offline, it really doesn't matter. I think there's a famous quote from one of my senior coaches. They say, actually, when you're coaching a person, you need to connect first, win the trust, and then you can coach. If you don't connect and win the trust, you can even have 10 PhD degrees. I don't think anybody's going to train with you. I think that
True, true.
EQ and the IQ put together for a trainer is very, very critical in connecting with a person. And on top of that, you can pile up all your exercise science knowledge and strength and conditioning thingies there. But without a connect and trust, I don't think it will work, whether it's online or offline. And this is something which I tell all my young coaches. I mean, try to connect with the person first. Don't try to show off your knowledge. Try to connect with the person, try to
Absolutely.
understand them. If possible, become a penetrative listener first. Most of them don't listen. They're very busy talking about themselves. I think as a coach, you need to be a penetrative listener. I call it the 3:1 principle. If they talk for 3 minutes, you should talk for 1 minute. If you can
Interesting.
do
I think
that,
that can be utilized in multiple facets.
I think that will really help.
That's fascinating. I mean, you've done a lot of self education on exercise science, right? Why is it crucial, for the 30-year-olds and the 40-year-olds to kind of do strength training along with their cardio?
I think the current 30 is the old 45, 50.
No, yes. Unfortunately, you're right. Even from the hard science in my cath lab, I'm seeing a lot of 35s and 40-year-olds who I never used to see. It used to be a rarity, and so it is becoming that. And yes,
I have a fair bit of objective study in this. In the 70s, human being used to walk anywhere between 15,000 to 20,000 steps a day. In the 80s,
okay,
it was about 10 to 15,000. In the 90s, it was about 7 to 12,000. And in the first part of 2000s, it was about 5,000 to 10,000. Off late, the number of steps they take is only between 3,000 to 5,000. It is dramatically reduced over a period of time. And the force production, which is done by your muscles and the entire body, has dramatically come down again because you don't move much anyway. So there's hardly any physical activity. That is why I'm writing a book called 1234. It is due for release in January. And I call it as
okay.
trends in modern fitness training. Gyms have become mandatory. If you see an hospital, there has to be a gym. And how you're going to use the gym, are you going to use it judiciously in the right direction, is the sort of a question. It's like a double-edged sword. Gym can be a double-edged
Hmm.
sword. If you use it right, it's going to give you enormous benefits. And if you can find the right coach for yourself, game, set, and match for yourself. And the young 30s and 40s who have missed the bus in early teens or 20s, they have to hit the gym. And I don't think there's any two thoughts about it. I mean, I there's a famous joke from my side. If you're 70 years old, I tell all my clients, if you're 70 years old, if you've never done gym, shift into a gym and live there. If you're 60 years old, make sure you live in the same floor as a gym. If you're 50, you better start now. Below that, if you're not starting anything and you have other lifestyle issues and you have vices, there is no other way. That has to be it has to be like a school, 2 times a week or 3 times a week. It may look very innocuous, but in the long run it will pay rich dividends. And I've
You
noticed
know,
that habits and certain other vices and like new sort of vices have come in. So, and I see that in school levels itself. So, and the number of kids who play sport is also reducing a big time. On the contrary, you have some kids who are getting into professional sport also. But the polarization is huge nowadays. Before, all the kids used to come to physical classes and all those things. Now in school, it's very polarized. So the guys who are on the right side are fine. The guys who are on the left side, away from sports and activities, I think by the age of 25, they need a proper counseling into joining a gym. 25 itself is late, according to me.
you say that. I think when I was in India in June, one of my nephew's friends who was in his early 20s had like significant metabolic syndrome with fatty liver disease, and had to have medical issues. And I was like, this is really too young. This is really too young, and you need to get started. But they get scared and they start avoiding the reality by not looking at it. It's almost like the horse wearing blinders or something. They just don't want to look at it. And in your 20s you have the sense of immortality, right? Death will not happen, bad things will not happen to me. And I think they thrive off that. And then when they come to the 30s or 40s, they're having the first heart attack, and the first question the 30-year-olds who are having a heart attack is, how did this happen to me?
Me,
And and I'm literally like, it didn't happen today. It's been happening for the past 10 to 15 years, and today is the end result of the
absolutely,
bad
absolutely,
choices or genetics and everything put together.
absolutely,
It's a growing issue. It's a growing, and also, right, I love your analogy of living in the gym and living in the same floor of the gym. I tell all my patients who are retired and who come to see me, I said, you still have a job. From 9 to 12, you're going to be in the gym. You're going to explore all the machines in the
absolutely.
gym,
Well
take
said.
your own time.
Well said.
And
This,
yeah,
I express
otherwise
that
you're
feeling
not.
all the time. That is my motto for all the senior generation people, and I tell them that is the way you got to go from here. I mean, you don't need to slow down. You need to go to the gym and lift weights and become strong, and try playing a sport within your realms.
Yes. So, compared to, living in America and living and come visiting Chennai or India very frequently, the age barrier seems to be such a big barrier back in India compared to what I'm seeing here. I mean, like in the 50s, I'm 50. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be 50 in a few years. I am not ready to be that 50 at all. Like, no. And, and then I'm like, oh, 60. Like, no, it's okay. Like, I had an 80-year-old patient who she met me for the first time last year. And she was not obese, she was overweight, and she was complaining, like a long list of complaints. I said, there's only one thing you can control. All these complaints I cannot control, but I can tell you, you have to lose at least 5 kilograms. I can tell you, you have to get up and move, and if you don't move, you're looking at a life which is bedridden. And
Absolutely.
I honestly, it was yet another patient consultation. I kind of forgot about what I said because I moved on to the next patient. She comes for a follow up. She's lost that 5 kilograms, 10 pounds at the age of 83 years. Okay. And her appointment was at 11 a.m. She had already walked for 2 miles. And she's going to finish my appointment and then she's going to go play pickleball. I just don't want this podcast to just talk to the 40-year-olds and the 50-year-olds. I want to connect with the 60s and the 70s and even the 80-year-olds to and you've worked with them. What do you tell them, and why do you think they should prioritize working out or coming to the gym as a part of their lifestyle?
I think, as you rightly said, some of them are scared. And what we do at our gym is we try to connect to the person first and they start liking the gym.
Hmm.
We have created a nice vibe in the gym. So, I mean, to be very honest, I don't like gyms. I don't like the typical gyms, so called gyms, I don't like. So, mine is more like a mixture of a library, a corporate office, or a place where a hard rock cafe. I mean, a mixture of everything. It's juxtaposed like that. And I generally don't like that real gym type of a feel. I mean, I've been all over the world, and
Okay,
I really honestly
interesting.
don't like that.
Okay,
And I, even my staff are very, very different. I mean, when I go in, my you will have that 80s song playing in the background, and with a nice lounge. There is a set of books there. There's a coffee table there. So it is an extension of my house. I try to create the same feeling for all my clients. I think that is the reason why we cater to a lot of geriatric population in our studio, and they love coming back. And in the first floor, we have
okay,
just a
good.
warm up area. There's a small theater sort of a feel. You can actually watch a movie and keep stretching. So I kept it
Interesting,
like
very interesting
that's what I
concept.
do in my house. So an extension of my house is the gym feel, and I somehow feel that a lot of people like that vibe. I mean, Anusha, for that matter,
Mm.
your cousin. I think literally she's lived in the gym for the last 10 years.
Yes, I know. And she was the one. You have to tell me about this program which you founded, the Primal Patterns. I mean, she was telling me statistics. I was like, Anusha, are you really? Is this for real? And so, please tell me what is this Primal Patterns and how does that work?
Primal patterns mean the human being can only do six primal moves. That is, you can squat, lunge, bend, push, pull, twist. You can't do anything else as a human being. You go to a gym, you can squat, you can bend, you can lunge, you can push, or you can pull, or you can twist. And then
Okay,
as
all
a
right.
gait aspect, you can walk, you can jog, you can run, you can sprint. That's it. This is called primal patterns. And
Okay.
back in 2009, so we coined this word, and it was tough times for us. And I said it's about time we started our own studio and our own concept. And in 2009 in India, I said I'm going to start a one-on-one studio where every session is an appointment. And people thought I was crazy. Basu, it's just going to, I mean, it's just going to go down and jiff, and I don't think this will work. And for the first 2 years, every month I'll say, okay, let me close it. Okay, one more month, one more month, one more
Okay.
month. And I somehow lost 24 months, and I called my staff one day and said, okay, let's become the best in the business, and let's read everything again. Let's practice every exercise in the world. And whoever comes, let's give our best efforts all the time for the next 6 months. I don't know what happened. The energy changed completely. In the next 6 months, things started turning around, and then it just boomed, and the rest is history.
Fantastic, fantastic. So when you with your program, are you? I mean, you're not just focusing on this. I mean, what is the philosophy behind the program?
I mean, we cater to all first. First of all, we cater to all. You
Mm-hmm.
can be an athlete. So what I've kept it very simple. Everyone is an athlete who comes to Primal Patterns. Whether it's an 80-year-old person or a 8-year-old person, everyone is an athlete. We look at everyone as an athlete. You might be diabetic, you might have thyroid, you might be really a sprinter, you might be a cricketer. Everyone is an athlete. For a 80-year-old person, bending down and picking up their socks is deadlifts. If I have Usain
Mm-hmm.
Bolt, probably he'll do 200 kgs of deadlift. That's all is a difference. The weight is a difference. So, can you do the primal moves well? Can you squat well? Can you lunge well? Can you bend well? Can you push well? Can you pull well? Can you twist well? So, if you get the six,
Mm.
I think functionally you're fine to move to the next step. Then you can move on to a little more functional work, and then move on to performance training. Then you can actually have some personal records and move towards that. And apart from that, you need to do so many steps in a day. You can work on your cardiovascular, you can do your sprinting or jogging, or you can become an actual athlete. So it is a sort of a step by step method. And if somebody is patient, we take them through this line.
Sometimes, like, we have the stories we hear is people don't want to go to the gym at all. They don't want to do anything. The other is they have an injury and they push themselves through the injury. And then, so can you talk about recovery and in between routines, and what is your thoughts on that?
So what happens is in primal patterns, since we look at everyone as an athlete, recovery is part of our life. And
Mm,
when we talk about an athlete, we only talk about performance and recovery. Both are equal. You grow only when you rest. Your performance
yes.
goes up only when you rest, not when you're actually training. It is when you're training, it's catabolic. Okay, when you rest and come back, it is anabolic in nature. So you don't need any steroids. You need to have the right periodization. So in Chennai, I'm a big believer of ice bath, a pool session, a massage, and all those things. And I think the clients who understood our methods, they take to this whole thing like fish to water. Like I don't
Mm,
push all the time. If you are working out so much, you need to work in so much. I call it as workout and work in. You can't be working out all the time.
interesting.
You can't be in red lining all the time. So you need to relax and have a green lining also. You need to relax every now and then. So people have understood that. Like let's say that you squat on Monday, you can't obviously squat on Tuesday. You need to
Hmm.
recover and come back the next session or probably the subsequent session. So what we do at Primal is in the first phase, we try to educate the client as much as possible, not bore them. But the first thing we fix is their diet. And I feel the most
Okay.
overrated thing in the world is diet. If you look back from your caveman, cave woman time, one thing which has stood firm and very, very constant is your macronutrients and micronutrients. And you eat close to your ethnicity and your region. Okay, all these
Absolutely. Yeah.
modern books and modern theories and diet, if it all had worked, then billions and zillions wouldn't have been spent on that. Like if you look at this good book called Good Calories and Bad Calories by Gary Tubes, the Eskimos, they never had any sort of the salads and all this so-called organic food. They were always, I mean, in snow and winter, and they were
Yes.
always
Yes.
eating only meat, and they were absolutely fine. And most of them lived up to 100 years. So if you stay close to nature and your ethnicity and stay organic as much as possible and stay in sync with your circadian rhythm, I would always say when the sun goes up, cortisol release, you need to go for work. When the sun goes down, nature is telling you you need to wind down. That time you put all those neon lights, and if you want to keep on working on that cortisol, or you need to keep releasing all the stress hormones, and if you do it for 10 years, you don't need to ask anyone. You must be an absolute fool not to understand that you're going to be sick. You don't need any expert to tell you this. You must be in a totally a moron not to understand this. When the sun goes up, you go for work. When the sun goes down, you wind up. As simple as that. Today, the biggest challenge is how
Absolutely.
much can you get away from the phone?
Absolutely. Yes.
And if you
Absolutely.
can't do
The
the
phone has
other,
become such a challenge.
at least do the other things properly. I mean, I would say that you have only 23 hours a day. The modern man has, or a woman has only 23 hours a day. 1 hour is for workout or working. It can be anything. It is
Hmm.
your time, it is your me time. Strictly no touching the phone that time. And 1 hour, it can be gym, it can be running, it can be rowing, or it can be a walk. That is for a starter. That is for a starter. And try avoiding any food which you are ordering through online for the whole week. Maybe on a Saturday evening, once a week is fine. You can't keep ordering food all the time, processed food all the time, and you stay late all the night. I'm thinking, why? I don't know why I'm falling sick. You must be an absolute idiot not to understand this.
That I always tell my fellows, you can't teach common sense. Like I can't. If they do something in the lab, I was like, dude, I can't teach you common sense. This is basic common sense. I cannot teach you
Absolutely,
that. We have 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. So in a week, we only have to account for 21 meals a week. Okay.
absolutely.
And I tell them the 21 meals, one meal is eat whatever you want. But can you try eat real food which is, as close to nature, like whole eggs and protein and greens, which are actually green and not veggie chips and call that green.
Exactly.
It's the same philosophy.
Yeah, it is common sense most of the time. Oh, people say, oh, there's fungus and parasite is in sugar. It's common sense. It's just common sense. You have to eat whole foods and I mean I have a theory on fasting also, but let's not get into that. I can talk till the cows come back home for that. But then you eat right, you move like an athlete, and you recover like an athlete. I think you'll definitely stay healthier for a much longer time than what you are actually entitled to.
Absolutely. I mean, honest to God, I'm not sure I want quantity of life to extend when my quality of life is going to be
Exactly.
poor.
What a line. What a line.
What is the point if I'm going to be 80 years old and achy and painy, and and my brain is not working properly because and I'm in a fog. I personally wouldn't want that life. I want a full life, and for that I have to invest right now. It's like a bank account. If I want to retire well, I have to invest right now, right? So I think that's the concept I'm trying to preach here, I think, and that's what you're doing as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I call it the lamenting uncles and whining aunties. You can't be that with all the things and mix.
That is, yes, true, true, true. But the thing is, it's so easy to say that. But if you are a 70-year-old person right now, okay, so they were in 40 years ago, exercise was not that big of a deal. They were all smokers. Smoking was like how cell phone is the in fad thing. Smoking was in fad. So you can't blame them because their 30s and their 20s was completely messed up. And I'm sure when my children, when they are 60s, God knows what effects of the cell phone they're going to be having. We still don't know. Science is yet to catch up with that. And all their online jobs, it's all remote jobs. They're all in front of the computer the whole day. There is no walking. I mean, American Heart Association has reduced from 10,000 steps to 5,000 steps, not because they want to. They realize no one is hitting the 10,000 steps, and they basically said, okay, let's give them an achievable target. So we are lowering our standards as human beings, unfortunately, our health standards,
I mean,
which
one
is
thing I
very
can tell
sad.
you, it's very easy to stay healthy in the US and Canada and Australia and UK. I mean, I've been there a lot. The number of health stores and organic stores you have, and the places you can actually run around, and the gyms are so expensive. Actually, if somebody wants to stay healthy in these countries, it is so easy. It is so easy. It is definitely a challenge in some of the countries in the subcontinent for sure. But I mean,
Sure.
in some of the countries I mentioned, even if you want to go for a walk, it is so expensive, and there's a lot of place. And you move anywhere, there's an organic store, or there's some sort of a health food, or there are health freaks around you. I mean, it can be again polarized, but it's very easy actually. My son went to Canada and said, "Dad, it's so easy to be healthy here. There's so many options for me here. Even as a vegan, there's so
Oh,
many
but Miss
options more than India."
True, true, true. But Mr. Basu, it's also so easy to be unhealthy here.
I know.
Every corner there is a fast food joint, there is a gas station selling totally crappy food, and in 2 minutes you order something, in 5 minutes you can get the worst kind of
I
foods.
know.
Yes, it's
Angels and
both
demons,
sides
choice is
of the
yours.
coin.
Angels and demons, choice is yours.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, the new year is coming, and I'm going with the principle of I don't want to start in the new year, but I have to arrive new at the new year. So, December has become a big month of focus. This podcast will come in the beginning weeks of December as well. So, what would you like to tell people who are waiting for January 1st to start their journey?
The old cliched line. I mean, it really doesn't matter what you do from Christmas to New Year. The only thing which matters is what you do from New Year to Christmas. So it really doesn't matter. Please party very hard from 25th. Okay, party so much that people should be annoyed with you. But come 2nd of January, from there, what you're going to do till next Christmas is the only thing which is going to determine you. And it's not easy. It's not easy. One thing I would request people not to do is do not tie yourself in too many knots. Oh, I will start a diet, I'll start running, I'll go to the gym, I'll do yoga, I'll do breathing exercise. No, 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 you're not going to succeed in anything. Just take one thing. One thing. The easiest thing I would say is if you like playing a sport and if you have a community of friends who are like minded, that is a great place to start. If you don't have that, Then if you have a sort of a gym buddy or a person who you enjoy his company or her company, try doing some sort of an activity with that person. That way you give yourself a good chance to see the month of March. Otherwise, by Feb first week, you'll wind up everything. I think the
Very well said.
communion around you or the things you enjoy around you is the most important thing. I think you need to find that vehicle and you need to travel on that vehicle. Let's say that you are 40 years old, you love playing basketball. Okay, start playing basketball 2 times a week, half court near your place with your buddies. That way, at least you're starting an activity. Then one can lead to another. Then can be one more day of cycling, or it can be one more day of gymming. Things will roll. But if you try doing a diet and 5 days of a gym and 3 days of running and rowing and that and this, you will fail by February. You will go kaput.
Yes, absolutely. Recently there was a study which came in, which was very interesting, which found that older people who are playing partner sports, that is tennis, pickleball, table tennis, badminton, those people were doing much better. They were more happier. Overall, they felt better than the people going alone. Again, the sense of community, because it was, so I totally agree with you with the finding your community within the gym so that your health journey can be easier.
That's the only way.
It's
That's the only
always, yeah, yeah. I mean, we
way.
have to enjoy the journey. Otherwise, life is mundane.
I play table tennis and every weekend I compete. And I
Huh.
compete and for recreational. That's it. But I need the bragging rights for Monday. Monday, oh, I beat you straight sets, you beat me straight sets, and talk about it for the rest of the week and wait for the next tournament. That way, it is healthy instead of going sitting in a bar and talking old stories and becoming unhealthy. I think this is a better option for me. I'm not telling you shouldn't go to the bar.
Absolutely.
Do it once in a while for sure. I mean, what is life without all those things? But if you find a sport, if you find a mojo somewhere, I think that's going to be a game changer. And don't,
Well,
don't,
Mr.
don't
Basu, I
overly
think
strict on the diet to start with. It'll never work.
yes. So even with the diet piece, right? I think if you anytime start a extremely restrictive diet and don't give yourself that space to have fun with your diet, you're going to get messed up. So, and you can't be the only person dieting in the house. That also becomes very, very hard. You
Just
have
put
to,
for
you
others.
know, Yes, yes. So again, finding a community, doing it with a friend. What are you eating today? What am I eating today? I made this today. I made that today. Again, if you make it into a community and a challenge or doing it together, I think it's always better for the soul than as much as it is for the body.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, Mr. Basu. I think we've discussed a lot of stuff today. And I think the most important message I got out of you is to start slowly, but stay steady. And I love doesn't matter what happens between Christmas to New Year, but what happens from New Year to Christmas is what matters. I love that. I'm going to stick to that. And I'm definitely going to use that with my patients and stuff. So thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. And I have learned a lot and I've absolutely enjoyed the process. And I'm definitely visiting you when I come to Chennai next time.
It was an absolute pleasure, and I will see you soon in Chennai.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. If you found us valuable, you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast app. And also, please consider leaving us a rating or a review, as that helps others find the podcast too. I hope you have a great week ahead.